1996 to 2000, and President Commonwealth Council for Educational Administration and Research, Punjab and Chandigarh. Recipient of several awards, including Professor D.P. Mukherjee Fellowship Award for Senior Social Scientist 1999. Recently, the Indian Social Science Association has conferred upon him the honor of Honorary Senior Fellowship 2017 and many more. Sir has been invited as a resource person for capacity building in various refresher courses in education and in many police training programs. A gracious welcome to you, sir. Please give a round of applause.
Esteemed Professor Sharma, Professor Rashmi Jain, senior colleagues of the Department of Sociology, University of Rajasthan, Kailash Rawat ji, and esteemed friends. At the outset, just to say how delighted and honored I am to get this opportunity to be in your midst and get enlightened by the deliberations of the national conference organized by the Department of Sociology, University of Rajasthan. Let me also take this opportunity to come up to the expectation of Professor Rashmi Jain and other colleagues of the department for my Shairana Mizaj. And therefore, for all the good things that you have said about me, I would only say that मशहूर होने की ख्वाहिश नहीं मुझे, मशहूर होने की ख्वाहिश नहीं मुझे, आप हमें पहचानते हैं, बस इतना ही काफी है. I would like to compliment the organizers of this conference for one thing. I really marvel at their ingenuity and innovativeness in so formulating the theme I'm indeed amazed at the ingenuity of the Department of Sociology for organizing the theme in a manner that it does justice service to both, being a very topical theme and at the same time a very open-ended theme in which any presentation is welcome and easily accommodated. I find it very amazing in the sense that there is nothing about the department that is not taken care of in formulation of the theme, beginning with sustainable development, coming to quality of life, and the most important of all, the development, the challenge that the pandemic has posed to development. The way I look at it, I would like to sum it up in just a few words. To me, it seems that the whole thrust seems to be on rethinking development post-pandemic. Rethinking development post-pandemic. What has development done to development? What has pandemic done to development, and what are the implications of pandemic for reordering the priorities of development. Now, before I get down to the straight question of what has pandemic done to development, let me make it clear that development isn't the issue. Paradigm of development is. Development is not the issue. Paradigm of development is. Number two, that sustainability is not the issue. Sustainability is not the issue, but the practice of sustainable development is. Number three, that quality of life is not the issue, but uneven quality across diverse sections of society is. Therefore, this paradigm of development has been challenged all along its evolution and development. But the challenge that it has received from pandemic is of the unprecedented order. Never before was the paradigm and practice of development, the ruling paradigm, if you like, was challenged in the manner in which it has been challenged by the pandemic. Now, in what sense do we say that development is not the issue, but paradigm of development is? Who will join issue with development in the sense in which development means improvement in quality of life? All of us are for development. Hardly anyone will dispute the desirability of development. Mankind has always, all along, been envisaging possibilities of its improvement. And in that sense of term, development is not the issue. What is the issue is the paradigm of development, the ruling paradigm of development. Professor Rajiv Gupta is here. I think perhaps no one will be able to appreciate it as much as he would, that this is, in simple words, nothing but capitalist paradigm of development. You know, the kind of, if you like, the neoliberal paradigm of development, which provides the basis for the ruling paradigm of development. Now, the problem, therefore, is the kinds of questions that Douglas Sears asked. It's now time to ask, what has development done to us? Particularly to three things. What has development done to poverty? What has development done to sustainability, that is ecology? And above all, what has development done to equality? These are the three crucial questions, fundamental questions, which are addressed to this ruling paradigm of development. Has it led to elimination of poverty? Has it led to alleviation of poverty? Has it led to any relief to poverty? Oh, sure. Relatively speaking, one may argue that there has been a little improvement in the living standard of the poor, but the pandemic, I mean, it has been the improvement has been so shaky that pandemic not only washed it out, but also added to the ranks of poor in an unprecedented manner. Now, that is the unsustainability of its impact on poverty. When it comes to ecology, as a matter of fact, if there is one biggest challenge to ecology, it is development. Development is a challenge to ecology as such, human ecology, natural ecology, and social ecology per se. As far as equality is concerned, it has only exacerbated inequality. It has only widened and deepened inequality. It has only led to acceleration of inequality in a manner that there are only two classes here. One, the class of billionaires, the super rich, and the other, the class of abject poor. People like us, of course, fall in between, but these are the two. So a small, a minuscule minority of the billionaires whose number is rising by the day. That is what the ruling paradigm of development is doing to us. What it is doing is, there are three questions that I would like to pose to it. When we are talking of development, the three questions that come to my mind is, whose development are we talking about? Question number one. Development for what? And question number three, development at what cost? These are the three questions that each one of us, as students of social sciences, as well as citizens of, rather, netizens of the world, I would say, not only just citizens of India, but netizens of the world, we should ask these three questions. Whose development is this development? Is it development of the underdeveloped, or is it development of the developed only? The answer is simple. It is development of the corporates. It is development of the Arapatis. It is development for those who are already rich. And as far as others are concerned, they don't count. This is the answer, the answer, and the answer is too well known to all of us. So this is, now, is this the kind of development that we look forward to? Is that the kind of development which should be our ideal? Question number two, development for what? And it's a very critical, very crucial question. Development for what? The answer is development for promoting human well-being. That is what they claim. Now, how to achieve that human well-being? Well, economic growth is the means of it. Now, as far as logical theorizing about the concept of development is concerned, this is how it goes, that we need economic growth in order to promote the quality of life of the people. But in actual practice, what do you have? In actual practice, what we have is inversion of this relationship. The means has become an end, and the end is reduced to a means. What we have is economic growth for itself. Development is an end. Economic growth is an end unto itself. That development as economic growth. If you look at the various development plans and the various development endeavors and practices all over the world, how do we measure development? What is the metric of development? Rate of economic growth. Whose growth does the rate of economic growth or GDP reflect? Does it reflect the growth of the Aam Aadmi, the common man, or does it reflect the growth of the corporates, the big firms? Now, the question is simple, that development claims to be for the people, but it is actually not for the people. It is for economic growth of a few. So as far as development for what is concerned, what we have is a fallacy of mistaking the means as an end. Economic growth should be a means to the goal of promoting people's health, promoting education among the people, promoting well-being among the people. The economic growth, which should have been the means of it, it becomes an end into itself. And nothing has illustrated it more graphically than the recent pandemic. What pandemic has shown is as to how this callous neglect of the ruling paradigm of development, callous neglect of the people at the altar of economy. Economy is the thing. We need economic growth. As far as people are concerned, their quality of life is concerned, that is of no consequence to them. So the second question answered in negative. Then at development at what cost? The third question. At the cost of ecology, at the cost of survival of mankind. That is the cost that we are paying. As far as this aspect is concerned, so the first thing, the first point that I made was development is not the issue. Paradigm of development is. The paradigm itself needs to be reworked, redesigned, and rethought. And that is the challenge. That is the message of the pandemic that we have had. So that's one. Now, the second thing is sustainability is not the issue. The sustainable development is the issue. It's important to think over it, ponder over it. We need sustainability. Who is not for sustainability? That's not the issue. The issue is sustainable development. Which development? The neoliberal development, the ruling paradigm of development, the capitalist development. Let me add here that even as A.R. Desai talked of two paths of development, the capitalist path and the socialist path, as far as I am concerned, I can see only one path of development. All path of development is capitalist. Even the communist societies, they are following the capitalist path of development insofar as they are also hankering after economic growth. The only difference is that in the case of democratic societies, non-communist societies, it is corporate kind of capitalism. In the case of social societies, be it Russia or China or any other for that matter, it's a case of a state capitalism. That's about all. There it is state capitalism. Here it is corporate capitalism. Both of them are capitalist in their essentials. And therefore, as far as I can see today, the whole endeavor, the whole practice of development, including those of China and Russia, has been thoroughly capitalist. The same ruling paradigm. They reject this neoliberalism, which is fine. They reject it on the basis that no, we can't leave it to the market. So market fundamentalism is not acceptable. But at the same time, they hold a brief for state fundamentalism. But what has the state fundamentalism done to us? We can see all around. The state fundamentalism has only bring miseries, oppression, and tortures on the people. Take the case of Russia and Russian aggression against Ukraine. What do you have there? You have just all oppression, repression let loose, not only in Ukraine, but also in USSR, and also in other parts of the world, wherever people choose to go. So, as far I am able to see, it is all a case of capitalist development, and insofar as it is a case of capitalist development, capitalism is exploitative of both nature and women, everything feminist. Weakness is believed to be the characteristic of women. And therefore, the vulnerables are also in that category. The poor, the vulnerable, the Dalits, the women, and the nature, all are the objects of exploitation as far as capitalism is concerned, whether it is a social society or it is a capitalist society. Look, I really wonder, and I'm addressing it to Professor Rajiv Gupta. When I look at the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, the kind of dress, the elegant dress every time he appears wearing, who will call him a communist? Who will call him a socialist? Is he a socialist? Is there a lack of class inequality in Russia? Is there lack of class inequality in China? Look at the lavish lifestyle of these leaders and look at the lifestyle of the people. And you can see for yourself what socialism is doing to development. Therefore, the point that I was trying to make is simple, and it is that it is this kind of development, the neoliberal development, whether it is market fundamentalism or it is state fundamentalism, no matter which is the agency of it. Agency is apart, but at the same time, goal is uniform, goal is common. And given that, what it has done to sustainability, the development has posed formidable challenge to sustainability. Development, how do you measure it in terms of rate of economic growth and in terms of the living standards of the people? So people with luxurious living standards, they are developed. People with lower living standards, they are undeveloped or underdeveloped. That is the metrics of development. These two simple, growth and consumption, production and consumption, rise in both production and consumption. Now, today, until recently, what posed challenge to sustainability, and let me tell you that there are orders and orders of sustainability, but the most fundamental order is ecological sustainability. Before we speak of social sustainability or administrative sustainability or political sustainability or any other kind of sustainability, the primary question is that of ecological sustainability. Now, therefore, I would limit my observations just to ecological sustainability. What has development done to ecological sustainability? As a result of its growth, as we know, it aims at infinite growth within finite environment, unlimited growth within limited natural resources. That is the problem of ecology. The problem of ecology is that it has its carrying capacity. It has its constraints of carrying capacity. What is development doing, particularly this corporate kind of development, the capitalist kind of development, which is the ruling, the mainstream variety of development? It is not only extracting, exploiting, but also destroying all those resources in search of promoting production. But more important than production today is the question of hyperconsumption. Today, the main measure, when you are talking of quality of life, the question is, what do you mean by quality of life? One has to address this question straight away. What does the quality of life mean? The first meaning of quality of life is luxurious standards of living, higher standards of living. The problem with development is that it aims at continuous improvement of economic growth, continuous improvement of the standards of living of the people, continuous underlined. There is no limit. It's unlimited game. Now, given this situation, what we have is the situation today that the global north is having the kind of standards of living which can at best be called hyper consumption standards. It's therefore hyper consumerism, that which is what is posing the problem to environment and to sustainability and to ecology. It's not just production, it's consumption. And we know it that there are vital differences as far as the standards of consumption between the global north and the global south are concerned. The global north, people in the global north are having the kinds of standards of living which would require at least 3 times the present planet for it to emulate those standards of living. I'm sure some of you might have read Susan George's work, and Susan says in that work that we would need at least 3 planets if the so-called third world countries or the developing countries were to emulate the standards of living of the so-called developed nations. Now, I give you simple, I share with you a simple thing. Do you know it that how much amount in terms of dollars is spent over a year in the US? It is over $1 billion spent on what? Ice cream. Over $1 billion spent on ice cream alone. 50 billion on cigarettes. The kinds of, these are the standards of living. These are the metrics of consumption, levels of consumption. And the more you have, the more developed you are. Now, ecology cannot afford to bear all that. And therefore, the challenge to sustainability is there not for any other reason except for the ruling paradigm of development, the kind of present paradigm of development, which appreciates hyperconsumption to be the goal of the standard of living of the people. On the one hand, you have the Indian culture where simple living is the virtue. On the other hand, you have the modern notion of development in which hyperconsumption is the virtue. On the one hand, you have here where you are told you should cut down on your needs, and it is there that we are told promote your wants, forget about needs. Needs will be fulfilled. I want this shirt I have, but then I find another shirt which is more modern. So it doesn't matter whether it is usable or not. The one that I'm using, I would go in for the other one, discarding. So that is hyperconsumption. So it is the culture of hyperconsumption which is the issue, and which is what? Which is a metric of the so-called development. And therefore, the second proposition that I advanced was sustainability is not the issue. Sustainable development, the practice and the paradigm of prevailing sustainable development is the issue. My third proposition, which I shared with you earlier, is simple. It is not the quality of life. Quality of life is not the issue. Yes, we want quality of life, but the issue is the unequal quality of life across different sections of society. One section of society is, enjoying that luxurious standard of living, and the other is dying of starvation. In pandemic times, we have seen how people really starved. Another challenge that is coming to sustainability is also equally important. In addition to the luxurious consumption, there is another. If you look at the whole the reigning paradigm of development, what do you have here? As Becker rightly pointed out, what you have, he says that there's a 3-point bottom line, 3-point bottom line of development. And this comprises the planet, the profit, and the people. This is a 3-point bottom line of the present paradigm of development. So there is the planet, there are the people, and above all, there is the profit. Now, it is profit which has taken over both the people as also the planet. And it is this sort of supremacy of profit over the people and the planet which is causing the problem. And I would like to add to it one more, and that is what will bring me to the point that I was trying to drive home to. And it is this, add one more P to it, and that is power. So there are not, it's not just 3 P's model, it is 4 P's model, I would say. The power, we have the people, we have the planet, we have the production, and we have the power. These are the four constituents. Now, what is happening is that on the one hand, people and planet, and on the other hand, you have profit and power. On the one hand, you have the people and the planet. There are people and there is planet. People are living on this planet. At the same time, there is the other, that is the economy and the polity. Economy dominated by profit maximization motive, and polity dominated by power seeking. Now, what is the other challenge that the sustainability is confronted with today is the challenge from power seeking. The manner in which wars devastate the environment and the ecology, nothing else does. Nothing else devastates the ecology, the manner in which wars devastate it. And you turn on your TV any time, somewhere or the other, a war is going on, and the ecology is being destroyed. In addition, what is going to happen now is that, as far as the present Russian-Ukraine situation is concerned, what is going to happen now is that if Russia chooses, it has already begin marching ahead on that path. It has already said that, okay, we will accept payment only in rubles, not in dollar, so, or not in euro. If Europe wants oil from us, gas from us, you have to pay to us in rubles. Now, this is posing a challenge to entire Europe. This is posing a challenge to US to divert the funds which were earlier earmarked to sustainable greening to now going back to fossil fuels. As a matter of fact, there are people, not only the small people, the common man, but those who count in the polity and economy of these nations, European and American, who have already begun suggesting that let us use our fossil fuels, let us mine the coal mines, let us dig the oil wells. So they are going back. On the one hand, they are telling the underdeveloped nations, stop using coal, not only phase down, but also phasing out on coal. And they themselves are now going to take to use of these same fossil fuels. Now, why are they doing so? Because of the power factor. So what I'm saying is that the kind of model of development that we have devised is a model of development which is, if it all does anything, it is only detrimental to ecology. It is only devastating to ecology. And therefore, there is a need for us to rethink this model. Now, so far about the three propositions by which I tried to show how the ruling paradigm is problematic. Now, the question, the more important and constructive question is, what should we do in this scenario? Given this scenario, where do we go? What do we do? Now, it is very simple. It's clear to us. The development model has to be redesigned. At least its priorities have to be reworked. If we cannot redesign it in its thoroughness, its priorities have got to be reset. I'm aware, I'm acutely aware, and perhaps all of you might agree with me on that. Capitalism is going to stay with us. It's not going to disappear anytime soon. So we have to live within this world. And what we have to think over is, how do we manage the ecology given the capitalist, the predominance of the capitalist paradigm of development and predominance of it across board, both north and south, both socialist and capitalist world. Now, to me, it seems that time has come now to tell the capitalism itself that you are supposed to be a rational system of economy. That is what you claim. Capitalism claims itself to be a rational economy. Now, fine, as a rational economy, then you must realize that the notion of capital in capitalism that you are having, the notion of capital, isn't it too narrow a notion? Isn't it too constrained a vision of capital? Isn't it too limited a view of capital? Is capital only finance? Is capital only production? Is capital only material? No, I think it's time that the capitalism should realize for itself, and it has already begun realizing in some measure that there are capitals of other kinds also, other than monetary kind, other than finance, other than profit kind. And those other kinds of capital, there is a natural capital. The whole ecology, the whole natural resource system is a capital in itself. And therefore, capitalism, if it is for capital, why should it proceed and limit itself to only the financial capital? It should appreciate the value of natural capital, and rather than exploiting it, and in exploiting it, you are wasting it, you are depleting it. And therefore, capital is not there in the rational system of capitalism, rational economy system of capitalism. Capitalism is not there for consumption only. It's also for reinvestment. It's also for growth, further multiplication of capital. So why not apply the same formula? Why not apply the same consideration to natural capital? Try to cultivate it, try to harness it, try to conserve it. What is happening is that in the present hyperconsumption, the culture of hyperconsumption, what do you have? Consumption takes precedence over conservation. Consumption takes precedence over conservation, that is, or conserving or preserving the environment and the ecology. Capitalism should realize, if it is to survive, if it wants to commit suicide, it's okay. It can go ahead with the way it is going ahead. But if it wants to save itself, and if it wants to save mankind, if it wants to save the planet, then it should rethink its own paradigm of national capital. So capital is not only physical or economic, capital is also natural, capital is also human capital. Invest in education, invest in health of the people, that is human capital. In its own ways, in its own countries, wherever capitalism is flourishing, by all means, so they are investing hugely in education and health. But the kind of developing societies, particularly Indian, what we have is that I don't know what is wrong with our planners. Why? I mean, they are otherwise so brilliant people, but why the simple fact doesn't occur? The simple fact doesn't occur to them that, look, health and education and infrastructure and well-being of the people, these are the goals, real goals of true development. And economy is merely a means. It should serve as an instrument. What instead they are doing is, they will divert lot of resources for keeping the capitalism going, for keeping the companies alive. So our finance minister will divert huge funds to supporting the economy. But as far as health and education, I and you know it very well, that till the pandemic struck, our expenditure on health was merely 1.2%, whereas in all the so-called developed nations, it is up to 6%, 8%. And as far as education is concerned, barely in terms of expenditure, barely 2 to 3%. They have been speaking of raising it to 6%, but it has never been done in actual practice. Therefore, what I'm submitting is that there is a need for capitalism itself to rework its own paradigm in terms of this notion of capital. It should enlarge its vision of capital rather than limiting it to only finance and profit. It should also think of capital in terms of natural resource or natural capital. It should also think in terms of human capital, and that will be in consistency with the planet, the logic of the planet, the physical, the logic of the laws of the physical universe, so to say. So this is the message of pandemic as far as I see for development. You very rightly and very imaginatively gave the subtitle prerequisites for development post-pandemic. First prerequisite, simple, change this mistaken fallacy, this mistaken conflation of economic growth with human well-being. The two are different. You may have economic growth without having well-being. In most parts of the world, this is the story. They have economic growth, but no well-being. Now, what is needed? The economic growth by itself does not automatically lead to promoting the well-being of the people. You don't need economic growth for removal of burqa or for removal of parda, or for giving equal rights to the women. You don't need money. You don't need money. You don't need capital. You don't need wealth. Therefore, the point for us to consider is that there is a need for correcting this error, the error that is reflected in equating economic growth with people's well-being, or in other words, in this mistaken fallacy of treating means as end in itself. It's just means. The economic growth is a means, and to take it as an end into itself is a real problem. I'm emphasizing this point because this is what we are encountering at every step in our own planning, even after. In fact, when the pandemic struck, one thing that I felt good about was that this will certainly shake up our planners. This will certainly shake up our development vision. But I'm sorry to say that it hasn't made much of a difference. Of course, they have now begun earmarking more funds for health, and also earmarking a little more fund to education. But actually, it is not a question of just doing little. They should be accorded full priority. If you have to develop, then these are the means to develop health, invest in people's health, invest in people's health. As a matter of fact, now the politicians have begun to realize it in a limited measure. The kind of model that AAP presented in Delhi, and which is now they're promising to replicate in Punjab, if they have been able to gain people's support, it is primarily because of their investing in health and education. Therefore, and now even the BJP, in UP, the Labharthi Yojana is the one which is believed to have enabled the present BJP government in UP to return to power with thumping majority. How it has been able to make it? Not so much because of Hindutva as because of Labharthi. So I hope that this realization dawn upon these politicians, and they think of reordering the priorities of development. So I would say that the prerequisite number one is that you should view human development, social development as an end, and the economic growth as a means, rather than the way in which it is being used today. And the second prerequisite is that you have to mitigate your standards of living. You have to redefine development in terms of limited expenditure on standard of living, cut down on luxuries, and the means for that is impose, there are two kinds of taxes which can help do it, the carbon tax and the wealth tax. Let the governments think of imposing these two taxes. Wealth tax, that is those who are Arapatis and the billionaires and super rich, there should be a strong dose of wealth cut, wealth tax, so that that fund can be utilized for promoting the well-being of the common man. And on the other hand, in order to take care of sustainability, or better still of unsustainable patterns today, do impose the carbon tax on the countries which are, recklessly using the environmental resources. So I think these are the prerequisites. And then, of course, equality remains the most important prerequisite, that you have to take aim not just reducing inequalities. Unlike poverty, there is a difference between poverty and inequality. Poverty and inequality, the difference is that poverty is concerned, when you speak of development in terms of removal of poverty, you are taking a very limited aim, very constrained vision, elimination of poverty. No, you should take aim at elimination of inequality. Wealth is the issue. Poverty is not the issue. The real issue is wealth. The real issue is over prosperity. The real issue is the kind of concentration of capital in limited hands. So I think what we have to do is to have these prerequisites if we really wish to make our development workable or for quality of life. Let me close with one or two couplets, because I have bored you enough. So I am obliged to really give you some a dose of little entertainment also. It's simple. What has this development done to us? इस अहले तरक्की के, इस डेवलपमेंट इस तरक्की, इस अहले तरक्की के अंदाज निराले हैं, इस अहले तरक्की के अंदाज निराले हैं, जहनों में अंधेरे हैं, सड़कों पे उजाले हैं। जहनों में उजालों की जरूरत है, सड़कों पे अपने आप हो जाएंगे उजाले। यहाँ उल्टी गंगा बह रही है। क्या कर रहा है ये? हमारी जो प्रॉस्पेरिटी और समृद्धि के पीछे जो हमारी दौड़ है, उसका अंजाम क्या निकल रहा है, ये भी समझने वाली बात है। छोटे से शेर से इसको बयां किया जा सकता है। अब के न है, अब के न है किसी को फिक्र, सब मजे में है। अब के न है किसी को फिक्र, इस कैपिटलिज्म के जो जमाने में अब के न है किसी को फिक्र, सब मजे में है, सब ने दिया फरेब सबको, सब मजे में है। सब एक दूसरे को उल्लू बनाने में लगे हैं। एक लूट सी मची है, एक लूट सी मची है सरे राह जिंदगी। एक लूट सी, कैपिटलिज्म इज नथिंग बट सिस्टम ऑफ लूटिंग, इकोनॉमिक लूट। एक लूट सी मची है सरे राह जिंदगी, फिर वो राहजन हो या राहवर, सब मजे में हैं, सब उसमें लिप्त हैं। और इसीलिए जो ऐसे लोग हैं, आप जैसे लोग जो ईमानदारी की जिंदगी जीना चाहते हैं, गलत काम नहीं करना चाहते, उनके सामने ये समस्या है। उनके सामने समस्या है कि ऐसे में करें तो करें क्या। ये उनका कहना है कि जब सब लोग लूट में लिपटे हैं तो हमारे सामने रास्ता क्या रह जाता है। आज का युवक ये सवाल करता है, बड़ा वो शायद हमसे ज़्यादा चीज़ को देख पा रहा है। जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो हमको भी आंकते हैं, हमारा भी मूल्यांकन कर रहे होते हैं। उसकी त्रासदी देखिए आप, उसकी उसकी जो त्रासदी है वो क्या है, उसकी एगनी क्या है आज के यूथ की। मैं तो खुद अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मैं तो खुद अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मेरा कोई रहनुमा नहीं है। हम और आप जो अपने को टीचर कहते हैं ना, मार्गदर्शक, उसकी नज़र में हम मार्गदर्शक नहीं हैं। मैं तो खुद अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मेरा कोई रहनुमा नहीं है, वो रास्ता क्या दिखाएंगे मुझको, खुद अपना पता नहीं है। तो आखिरी शेर आपने इतने प्यार से, इतने धीरज से, इतनी बोरियत को झेला, उसके बावजूद भी आपने अपना धैर्य नहीं छोड़ा। तो आपकी खिदमत में बस ये 2 लाइन कहकर मैं आपसे विदा लूंगा। आपकी तारीफ में, आपकी तारीफ में जब मैं सब कुछ कह गया, तब मेरे दिल ने कहा बाकी बहुत कुछ रह गया।
Development for what? And development for what cost is indeed a question we really need to ponder upon. Thank you so much, sir, for lucidly explaining 3 Ps: planet, people, profit. 3-point bottom line paradigm of development. We are immensely honored by your gracious presence on this significant day. Your aura has lent a unique charm to the occasion. With each new book, the march of our national history takes a step forward. When one is present at a book launch, one is bearing witness to the birth of a new body of ideas, to the coming into being of another testimony of history. A good news on great day is all here to share. Now, I invite our guest, Professor S.L. Sharma, and all the dignitaries present on the dais to unveil and announce the launch of the book entitled Sociology and Sociologist in India, authored by Professor B.K. Nagla, published by Rawat Publications. Please give a big round of applause for this great news. I would now like to request revered guest Professor S.L. Sharma sir to share and express his views for the efforts and energy of this achievement.
Thank you. See, it is indeed an honor for me to really release this book for two reasons. One, that it relates to the region where I have been working throughout my life. And it is an account of the sociologists in particular from that region, the Northwest region, which includes 5 units, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and Chandigarh proper. These are the 5 states, if you like, that are covered in the Northwest. And this book is a compendium of the contributions that the sociologists in this region have made to the advancement of sociology. What Professor Nagla has done in this book is to identify 4 major areas of contributions that have come from the Northwest. And these are, the number 1 area is modernization and development. Number 2, urban studies. Number 3, Dalit studies. Number 4, movement studies. And what I would like to emphasize about it is that these contributions, sociological contributions from these regions, reflect so much the socio-economic and political conditions of the region. Because Chandigarh, as you know, is regarded as the first modern city of India. Therefore, the whole thrust on modernization and development. That is the first part of the book. Chandigarh is also a city, beautiful city, urban. And it is for the first time that an empirical study of an urban area was undertaken in Northwest by Professor V.S. D'Souza. Chandigarh, it was a study of Chandigarh as a planned city, and therefore urban studies. And Dalit studies, it's a region of Dalits. Dalits, not only who are downtrodden, but Dalits with a consciousness of their identity. So the Deras of Punjab are well known. And they kind of, even as the caste system in Northwest is not as rigid as in Central India or other parts of North India and in South India. But what is unique about the caste system in Northwest is that there the identities of the people from the bottom, the caste from the bottom, they are emerging, and therefore the focus on Dalit studies. And finally, you know it that Khalistan movement, Punjab is known for Khalistan movement, and therefore the political mobilization studies. So in a way, this volume is planned in a very, very rational and very intellectually stimulating manner, in that it gives an idea of the sociology of Northwest in terms of sociology of knowledge in general. So that is the second reason why I feel honored and delighted about releasing this book is that this is a kind of work which is commendable for the simple reason that we are living in times in which the localization is becoming as important as globalization. We are living in times of globalization, if you like. Now, obviously, it is not just global sociology alone that is sociology. The sociological studies that are being conducted in different regions, in different localities, they are extremely important. And if the global sociology is to take a shape and have an identity of its own, it must rest on the empirical foundations of regional sociologies. I have had opportunities and occasions to express my appreciation to Professor Nagla in person. I have spoken to him several times that I am really impressed, and I strongly commend this kind of work for the simple reason that it provides an opportunity for the regional sociologies to have a place of respectability in the national scenario as also in the international scenario. Proceeding from that, we are really happy and proud to have Professor Manish Verma here, who is the current Secretary of Indian Social Society. I would like to take this opportunity to also appeal to him that as Secretary of Indian Social Society, he should sensitize the society, the national society in itself, to promote these kinds of endeavors in all regions. The regional sociological societies should really think of bringing out the works of regional sociologists, and the society should really then integrate these works and find out the commonalities which will constitute the identity of Indian sociology. It is not just the works of sociology sitting at Delhi or Bombay or Pune or Hyderabad or Chennai, which should count. It's also the works of sociologists in other parts, in other regions of India, which matter as much. And therefore, I'm sure Manish will definitely do his best to consider ways and means in which Indian social society can promote this kind of endeavor. In fact, I have had occasions to talk to Professor Nagla and spoken to him about such a volume from Rajasthan for the sociology and sociologists of Rajasthan. I think that I mean, so much work has been done here. University of Rajasthan Department of Sociology, a one-time star Department of Sociology, which continues to grow even today. Yeah, बिल्कुल सही है, पर विलायतियों के साथ साथ हिंदुस्तानियों के काम को भी लिया जाए, दोनों को एकोमोडेट किया जाए, तो जो भी वर्क राजस्थान पर हुआ है, अगर उस पर ऐसा ही वॉल्यूम आए, इसी तरह रावत साहब ने मुझे बताया कि एब्सोल्युटली, will you believe it, there are only 2 such volumes and both published by Rawat Publications, one on Northeast, sociology in the Northeast, and very interesting coincidence. So we have sociology of Northeast and we have sociology of Northwest. The rest of India should emulate, should follow these kinds of endeavors. And I take this opportunity to put on record our appreciation. I presume that all of you are with me in it for the effort that Professor Nagla has made in the painstaking effort that he has made in bringing out this volume. We also put on record our appreciation for Kailash ji and the Rawat Publications for publishing. We know it that it may not be a profitable proposition for them, but they are doing it. They are doing a service to the region, to the sociology of the region in doing it. So I think Manish has taken the message, and we hope that he will deliver on it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your warm wishes. I would deem it an honor to invite.
On this occasion, I must congratulate to Professor B.K. Nagla Sahab. I think it must be online. Right now he's in Canada. I think it must be online. Just BK Nagla sir, few days back, Professor Satendra Tripathi visited our Department of Sociology in this month, and we are having a dialogue with our faculty members. She has said very important, significant thing to us, that before 1964, whatever we are teaching from the foreign sociologists, from abroad sociologists. One sociologist, he visited our country and he raised the question, what you are teaching in sociology in our country? What you are teaching from the America, from the German, from other countries. So on that perception, our Department of Sociology took the initiative and they held a seminar in 1964 at Mount Abu. And I have that book, Sociology for India, that was published in 1967 by Printers Hall of India. At that time, 41 sociologists they participated, including I.P. Desai, Y.B. Damle, K.M. Kapadia, R.N. Saxena from Agra. All they were very worried about what should be the future of sociology in India. So in this direction, I think BK Nagla Sahab has contributed a lot, that what we should teach in our own indigenous society, in our own country. So these are good efforts, sociology and socials India. I must again congratulate the Professor BK Nagla Sahab. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your warm wishes. I would deem it an honor to invite Professor Rajiv Gupta to convey warm and enthusiastic message for this academic achievement.
अगर मुझे आप अनुमति दें तो सबसे पहले मैं प्रोटोकॉल को तोड़ते हुए कुछ बातें कहूं। जब मैंने 1976 में राजस्थान यूनिवर्सिटी को ज्वाइन किया था, उसके बाद सोशियोलॉजी को समझने में और अपने आप को सोशियोलॉजी का एक कॉन्शियस स्टूडेंट बनाने में रावत साहब ने जितना कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है, वह कंट्रीब्यूशन खड़े होकर के ही हम ताली बजा करके उनको दे सकते हैं। रावत साहब ने एक काम बहुत अच्छा किया। रावत साहब ने एक पर्सनैलिटी के रूप में जहां हम लोगों को सोशियोलॉजी दी, वहीं दूसरी तरफ एक फैमिली बॉन्ड होते हुए मैसर्स रावत पब्लिकेशन कैसे एक इंस्टीट्यूशन की शेप लेता है, हाउ इंडिविजुअल इज ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इनटू एन इंस्टीट्यूशन, द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल मिस्टर कैलाश रावत। उससे एक अच्छा एग्जाम्पल मुझे राजस्थान के अंदर नहीं मिलता। सोशियोलॉजी को ग्लोबल मैप पर जिस तरीके से रावत साहब ने पहुंचाया है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि सोशियोलॉजी को हमने जितना जाना है, जितना पढ़ा है, उसमें एक बहुत रावत साहब का है। और मैं आप सबकी तरफ से और व्यक्तिगत रूप से ये कामना करता हूं कि रावत साहब का ये योगदान एक बहुत लंबे अरसे तक हमारे साथ चलता रहे, ताकि सोशियोलॉजी मिलेनियम डेवलपमेंट के रूप में हमारे सामने आती रहे। थैंक यू वेरी मच रावत सर।
समय हम तो बहुत बस पढ़ रहे थे, उस पोजीशन में थे, तो जो अटेंड करके आए वो सेमिनार, उसमें सिंघी साहब ने तो शाम को ये लोग सब एसी दुबे, आईपी देसाई, एयर देसाई, सब टॉप के लोग वहां पर इकट्ठे हुए थे। तो कोई ऐसी बात चली शाम को जो उन्होंने आके कही कि राव साहब एक बात मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि शाम को जब बैठे हुए थे तो आईपी बोले, द पर्सन हु इज टीचिंग सोशियोलॉजी इफ ही डजंट नो द नेम ऑफ रावत मीन्स ही इज नॉट टीचिंग सोशियोलॉजी। यानी उस जमाने की बात है, आप ये समझिए। हाँ 60.
As far as sociology and sociologist in India perspective from the Northwest is concerned, I'm fortunate, sir, because right from the beginning, with the inception of this book, I was associated with Professor Nagla. And we discussed a lot regarding this book and its possible outcome. In fact, Sir has rightly pointed out, this particular book is a very organic kind of interplay between local sociology, regional sociology, national sociology, and global sociology. This is the unique combination. Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Jammu, and now Kashmir. All these regions are part of it. The method which is presented in this book, sir, is a combination of two: the inductive empirical dimensions which have been included, and the deductive conceptual method which is introduced in this particular book. These are the two unique methods which have been elaborated. When you go through this book, you will find the presence of these two methods, and then you can derive that with the combination of these two methods, we can introduce sociology to all our students. This is one of the important things which I find in this book. As Sir has rightly pointed out, development and modernization, urban studies, Dalit studies, social movements, and political sociology. These are the four themes which have been presented. Not only these themes, but a very enlightened analysis on sociological development and its relationship with social transformation, which took place in Northwest, not only Northwest, which took place in India. And then in last chapter, what will be the possibilities which we find in Northwest sociology. So sociology as discipline, sociology in India, emergence of sociology as a profession in Northwest India, all these dimensions have been incorporated. One of the important contributors related to modernization and development, Professor S.L. Sharma is here. He is a reputed social scientist, specialized in the field of development and modernization. But sir, I have interacted in terms of academic exchanges with several other scholars like Victor D'Souza. He was very close to us. P.N. Pimple sir, Paramjit Judge, Professor Nagla, Professor R.S. Sandhu, and other 11 scholars are part of this. And each one has contributed in the understanding of sociology. What they have done for Northwest is also incorporated in this particular book. Something is missing. I discussed this thing with Professor Nagla, because, sir, this particular Northwest region is not only a fertile ground of sociology, it's a fertile ground as far as critical social sciences are concerned. So we can include Manmohan Singh, we can include Romila Thapar, we can include Ranveer Singh, and then what happened in pre-independence era, Bhagat Singh's contribution, the impact of partition on this particular area, and during independence, what happened with Avtar Singh Pash. It should also be included. And not only this, I also request Professor Mehta sir and Professor Nagla to elaborate what is the impact of Kisan movement on this particular region recently. If these things are incorporated in coming editions, then probably it will be a very, very effective contribution as far as sociological advancement of Northwest is concerned in general, and entire sociology in India in particular. Thank you very much. And I request you all to please go through this book.
Thank you so much, sir, for your gracious words. Talent and skills are the crops that are nurtured, groomed, and given all possible opportunities to grow and bloom. The reward for work well done is the opportunity to do more. Well said by Jonas Salk. Winning an award is always a special moment. Indeed, how true it is. To encourage our young researchers, the special awaited moment has come. It is a moment full of joy, a moment about pride and accomplishment, a moment of celebration. It is the time we acknowledge and encourage our young researchers for academic excellence. I now take an opportunity to invite Professor Rashmi Jain to present and announce the names of the winners of Best Paper Award.
Rightly said by Anuja, in this conference, this was one of the first where we had circulated a call for Best Paper Award, and 3 papers were to be chosen from out of the final papers received. And it's very heartening to say that out of the 96 papers which were submitted, abstracts which were submitted, 70 papers were presented in the conference, and we received 39 full papers, out of which 3 papers have been adjudged at the first, second, and third. And it's my pleasure to make the announcement for the award. The first award, that is the Best Paper Award, goes to Shweta Modi, Research Scholar, Department of Home Science. This is a joint paper with Professor Kanika Verma, Professor at the Department of Home Science, University of Rajasthan. And the paper is titled Health and Environmental Impact of Ultra-Processed Food. First. May I request the dais to please give away this prize? The second place goes to Ms. Sunita Nain. She's also a research scholar from Banastali Vidyapeeth, and from saplings to forest, the growth of familial forestry as an environment conservation and sustainable mass movement was the title of her paper. Congratulations. And the third prize goes to Ms. Nisha, PhD research scholar from Department of Sociology, University of Rajasthan. Her paper was titled Employment in India, Trends, Issues, and a Path Towards Sustainable Development.
Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. It has been rightly said, we should start each day with a grateful heart, as a joy is gratefulness. Every celebration is an experience. The external fades away and the internal lingers and echoes in the most depth of our hearts. We are reminded that the events like this, one, are milestones on the journey of life and reminder of God's fidelity all through. As we come to the close of our valedictory ceremony, I deem it a great honor and privilege to invite Organizing Secretary Dr. Amiti Jasrotia to propose vote of thanks to our esteemed guests and dignitaries. Thank you so much, Anuja. Before starting a formal thanks, I would like to say today that I'm very, very happy and elated that ultimately and after 2 years, we are having in person this conference and we able to meet again. So with these words, I start my formal vote of thanks. As we know, every beginning has its end and every end has its new beginning. With this note, I take an opportunity to extend a formal vote of thanks for the 2-day national conference organized by Department of Sociology, University of Rajasthan. To begin with, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor S.L. Sharma, Coordinator UGC SAP DRS Phase 3rd. Professor Sharma is an icon who always encourage and motivate his surroundings with all the positive vibrancy. Professor Sharma is the real pillar of the department who always try to unite the old legacy with the new one. We got to know this when other departments see it as an exemplary and praises us. Therefore, I again offer my big thanks to you, sir. On the same tone, we are very lucky to have evergreen, dynamic, enthusiastic, and inspiring next pillar of our department, that is our head Department of Sociology, Professor Rashmi Jain, who in spite of senior to us, took all the responsibilities on her shoulder and led the army without any hassles. This persona of ma'am always gave us all the comfort to work with full zeal. Without Professor Rashmi Jain's extraordinary coordination, in spite of her quite needed and unavoidable occupancy at personal level, ma'am was continuously giving us support and direction from the distances. She helped us tremendously from there too. This conference would not be in such organized form we are able to see. So thank you again, ma'am, for this wonderful opportunity to organize. A big thanks to our inaugural speaker, Professor K.L. Sharma, who agreed to come in person at this age with the new normal, which is still not normal. Professor Sharma's deep knowledge and depthness of the subject always gave us a chance to dive in an ocean of knowledge with very short period of time. So we thank you, sir. We thank you, Professor Indu Mathur, former head Department of Sociology, for agreeing to be our guest of honor in the inaugural session. Although at the last moment, ma'am was not able to make out due to her bad health, but she extended her good wishes by the message which was read out by Rashmi ma'am. Many thanks are due to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajiv Jain, who in spite of a busy schedule could make out to wish us in person. We will always be thankful to you, sir. Our plenary session started with Professor Indira Rama Rao, a renowned scholar who actually set the tone for the conference with her profundity knowledge. We are also thankful to you, ma'am. After this, we had with us 3 learner, great scholars from across the country as a panelist, Professor Rajiv Gupta, Professor D.R. Sahu, Professor Suresh Babu, for wonderful presentation and talk. These 3 panelists open up the different windows of the very pertinent needed issues of the present. We extend our heartiest gratitude to all of you. At the very first day, the 2 technical sessions were held and went very smoothly due to our visionary seniors, that is Professor Rajiv Gupta, Professor Sushma Sood, Professor Sushila Jain, Professor Naina Sharma, and Professor Aruna Bargar. We are very much thankful to you all. You all are glorified our sessions as well as this August gathering. Thank you to you. Thanks is due to our joyous and supporting previous head, Professor Manju Kumari, irrespective of her superannuation. She keep on giving extra time to the department whenever needed. We are thankful to Professor Deepa Mathur ma'am. She was having another plan, but still she cancelled on our request and invitation. We are grateful to Professor Jagdish Yadav for coming all the way to Kishangarh, from the Kishangarh to this conference. Great thanks to Dr. Sumitra Sharma for helping us in conducting technical session 3rd amicably. All the chair and co-chair gave their delightful inputs to the sessions. We thank you, ma'am. A big thank is due to Professor Tulsi Patel, former head Indian Sociological Society. When we called her, she agreed shortly to chair the 2nd plenary session of this conference. Our 3 panelists, Professor Nagaraju Professor Vishwaraksha, Professor Manish Verma gave their methodically and overwhelming presence through online. And special thanks to Professor Manish Verma, he came in person. All three of them spoke scholarly on the different aspects of the sustainable development with their point of horizons. We extend our thanks to you all and joining us in such a short invitation. We extend our thanks from the core of the heart to all our seniors and retired faculty members who always make out all the efforts to come, join, and grace our occasions. In future too, we would also demand, rather wish to have you always with us in all departmental journeys. Your all continue support and blessings will definitely help us to grow more. I also thankful to Dr. Rawat, who always making out some time and always contribute this department. We already had discussed this thing with our faculty members. A big thanks to Professor B.K. Nagla also, who added this, who actually shined this occasion with his new book. So we thanks to you, sir, as well. So we also thank all the paper presenter across the country who were timely and actively participate in the conference, and also few of them have sent their full paper. Without their participation and presentation, this conference would not have been possible. This conference was not elated without the presence of Professor S.L. Sharma, distinguished scholar and sociologist, came from Chandigarh. Professor Sharma's efforts, especially at this age, is really praiseworthy. He has came here in person and guided us with his erudite scholarship. We are always thankful to you, sir, to show us a direction for the rich academic venture. A big thanks should goes to Dr. Monica Rao, an organizing secretary of this conference. Dr. Monica Rao is never tiring and hardworking assets of the department. Her personality adds extra stars to the department. She tries to own all the responsibilities on her shoulder to make all the events in very systematically and well-organized manner. We thank you, Dr. Monica Rao, for giving day and night for this conference. Thanks is due to Dr. Karunakar Singh, co-organizing secretary of the conference, whose extra effort at his personal level, irrespective of all the hurdles and obstacles at his personal level during last few days. We extend our gratitude to you, sir, for taking care of all the academic committee in very smoother and elated manner. All thanks are due to all my faculty and colleagues of the department, Dr. Shivam Singh, Dr. Gaurav Gotwal, Dr. Lokeshwari, Dr. Anuja Jain, Dr. Neelam Joshi, Mr. Rohit Jain, Mr. Manish Yadav, and Dr. Ashuram. Without their persistent energy and diligence, this conference would not have been possible and organized in such a beautiful manner that we are able to see. A special thanks goes to all the student volunteers, including research scholars. And I'm not going to take all the name because the list is very long. Some of them, along with their own paper presentation, took and performed all the given responsibilities very elegantly and very beautifully. Dear students, I just want to give you a message. You have actually raised the standard and became an example for the entire university to show others how a department can grow meticulously with the help of our students. You are the actually beneficiary as well as the deliverable agents of the future. We all agreed this unanimously, and that without students' help, this conference would not be arranged in such a manner we have. So perfectly and so delicately. A big thanks to you all. बहुत ज़्यादा धन्यवाद और आभार आप सब volunteers का. आप सबकी वजह से ही हमारा प्रोग्राम शानदार है. धन्यवाद. I also congratulate to all the winners of the paper presentation who scored first, second, and third position. A big thanks is due to all the teaching staff, especially Miss Yogita. She is the cutest and perfect manager of her skills. We are indebted to Miss Archana, Miss Vinita, Mr. Chandan, Mr. Nipun, Mr. Rajesh, Mr. Ashish, who gave us extended hands for this conference. Thank you so much. I personally want to thank Mr. Kaluram and Hemraj, who were constantly taking care of our tea and water during our prepreration of the conference in the department from morning to late evening. A thank is also due to all the supporting team like Mr. Parekh, Mr. Atul, Mr. Mahendra, Mr. Ram, and Mr. Rakesh especially for the technical support. Our thank is all due to all the media personnel for day-to-day coverage of this conference. And with this extensive thanks note, I take permission from the chair to stop here and wish for another gathering in the near future soon. With this note, have a good day. Thank you.
धन्यवाद के लिए धन्यवाद अमिति, and I take this privilege and I very proudly can say that the work I have shared with Amiti, nobody else, maybe next in the future we may have benchmark on the higher side, but Amiti का जो contribution, जो dedication, जो leadership, and उसने हालांकि credit मुझे दिया है single handedly, but she was leading the entire conference on her own very meticulously. Deadlines were so very carefully taken care of, and she made a point there should not be any compromise on quality, and you can witness in certificate to the banner. Thank you. Thank you, Amiti.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful and fun-filled evening.
Registered delegates, you can wait for your certificates. The certificates will be distributed. Registered delegates can wait for your and collect their certificates.